Happy Camper Radio.
It is the Happy Camper Radio Show, and we are back. Hello, everybody. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper, and without question, my friends, we're going to make a happy camper out of you. And coming to us for the very first time from his new home in Winder, Georgia, Daniel Pitts.
Hey,
Daniel.
that's me, Daniel Pitts.
Yeah. So glad to have you on board. I tell you what, it's been a while since we've been in the studio, but we've got a lot to talk about. We told our listeners this past week and our viewers that we would be back, and here we are. Happy Camper Radio, episode 291. We're on the air right now.
Happy Camper Radio. Happy Camper Radio.
And without question, the Happy Camper Radio Show can be heard all around the world by great listeners just like yourself. You can find us in just about any podcast directory out there. Punch Happy Camper Radio into your search engine. You'll find us right there. Of course, we're on the web 24/7 at www.happycamperradio.com. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on X, and without question, check out our YouTube channel. You want to see this show, you want to see how we're doing it nowadays, this is the place to do. Just look on that screen of yours there. If you see that little pup tent in the red box down there, yeah, Daniel will point to it. Just click on that, and you'll be a subscriber to the show. Well, Daniel, the last time that you and I got behind a microphone, we were standing outside our residential properties in the Shadow Hills neighborhood in Snellville, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And we made the announcement that we were both planning to sell our homes. Well, finally, we got that done.
We did.
You got your home sold a lot quicker than mine.
You actually lowered your price. Why did you do that? I was curious.
Well, just to get a little bit more traffic.
It only took about a month.
It took about a month. How long did it take for you to get?
I mean, it was just 2 days, but still. I mean, it was on the.
Yeah.
It was. I had a bid in after 2 days. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it.
Well, that's good. I'm glad things worked out for you. How long have you been planning to move up to Winder?
So the whole moving thing kind of happened as a offhand thing. I just, I liked surfing on the internet and looking at houses, and our dream was always to be in a mid-century modern house. And I found this amazing house on this lake in Conyers, Georgia, and we looked at it. We loved it. It was amazing, but it was owned by a bank, and bank-owned houses, they don't care about anything, and it needed a lot of work. It was
probably a foreclosure.
Yeah, and it needed probably at least $100,000 in repairs, but they wanted full price for it. But we loved it so much, and nothing really came of it. So we're like, all right, well, let's move on. And we looked at a bunch of houses, and my job has been talking about moving me up to the Duluth area, and my wife already worked in Lawrenceville. And I was like, well, I mean, we could maybe look a little bit further out than Gwinnett. So I, broadened the search, and we found this place, and, we came in, and it was amazing. And the location is amazing. It's right near Fort Yargo. I can walk into town. There's a park nearby. There's a convenience store nearby. It's awesome.
Well, I knew when you were starting to look around Conyers and outside of the Gwinnett County area where the show is originating from, I knew it was going to be a little bit more difficult to get you here in the studio. I mean, when I moved over here and brought the studio and got it all set up, you were only 4 miles away, so it was really nothing.
Right.
The good news is, Daniel, your chair is still right here in front of me in the studio. Because, your mom only lives a hop, skip, and a jump away
3
from
miles
us.
away.
3 miles away, if
that.
that. Yeah. And, I mean, I could almost walk to your mom's house.
Oh, yeah.
I might take Sadie on a walk over there one of these days.
There you go.
But, I mean, anytime that you and the wife happen to be coming to visit Mom and your sister, you can definitely drop by, and we can connect the cameras up in the studio just like the old times.
Oh, yeah.
But, this is the next best thing.
Yep.
We've been working on this format here for a little bit. I really wanted to get the show back on the air long before now, but we both know what moving is like and
it's
getting
the worst.
situated.
I never want to do that again.
Yeah, but during these past several months, when you were getting moved in, I had the opportunity to drive up there and see your new home.
You did.
And Daniel, I am very, very impressed.
Thank you.
You know, it's if I had to move out of the Metro Atlanta area, I probably would come up to Wine.
There you go.
You know, and the great news is, you know, you've got a campground, you got a state park nearby. We've camped there before.
Yep.
Probably about 5 years ago, Fort Yargo State Park.
Yep.
And while we were up there, Daniel and we went ahead and went in together on a state park pass.
Yeah.
Which now we can go ahead and get into any Georgia state park we want to and not have to pay an entrance fee.
Mm-hmm.
We got 3 free nights of camping. And I've got a camping reservation. Actually, I think it's 1 month from today.
There you go. You get 3 of those days free.
Yeah. And while we were up there, we had an opportunity to tour the campground and take some pictures of, you know, what we thought was some great sites. And that's always a good thing to do.
Yep.
You know, if you've been to a campground before, scout out, you know, look around, find out what's available up there. You might not be in a good camping spot now, but the next time you come back, you at least have an idea where you want to go camping.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was up there, I was looking at sites 16 and 17. And fortunately, site 16 was available for an entire week.
All right.
So the middle of June, middle of July, should I say, I'm going to be coming on up there. And definitely I'm going to bring some gear with me. So we got to do a show while I'm up there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, how far away from the park actually are you?
Maybe about as far as I was from your house when I lived at Shiloh Hills. If maybe,
Okay,
probably
so
closer.
you're about-
I'm probably about as far as my
3
mom is
miles?
from your house.
Oh, my heavens. Okay, so yeah, you'll probably be spending a lot of time over there.
Oh yeah, they got a
And,
new beach and they've got a whole new setup there. You can rent paddle boats and paddle boards and canoes, and they've got a whole new setup. We're gonna have to check that out and show people what that's all about.
Yeah, I've seen you on one of those little surfing boards over at Stone Mountain Park.
Oh, yeah.
When you're doing stuff that I would never even think about doing. Not at my age.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, it's a great park. You know, and we're going to be talking about it here toward the end of the show. But we were there about 5 years ago in a primitive camping situation. This was long before I had my RV and long before you had your pop-up camper.
I
you
think,
know,
my newest pop-up camper. I had the old one.
Right. Yeah. But, we went in there, and this time I picked the site, Daniel.
You did?
Last time we were there, yeah, I let you pick the walk-in site. And, of course, me bringing everything but the kitchen
That's
sink.
true.
I was hauling like 13 totes all the way into camp.
Yeah.
That took a long time to do, but we still had a great time while we were up there. We had one of our listeners actually come up there and pay us a visit.
Yeah.
Somebody that lives nearby.
Gave us some honey.
So, yeah, it was. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
But, this it's an awesome opportunity to get together and and with you and the wife and I understand you still got a job to go
Yeah.
to and you got a long haul back and forth from your current job that you have.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully things will ease up a little bit. And you ever thought about going to work up there in the Winder area?
Well, there's 4 city routes there, and I put in to transfer to Athens, but I don't know. We'll see what happens because, like I said before, they're talking about moving us up to Duluth, and that would be only a half-an-hour drive. So if I got transferred to Athens, it would be about the same distance. So we'll see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, Daniel, I have been quite occupied waiting on you, of course, to get yourself situated. But I've been occupied with some camping trips. And since we last had a show, I've been actually at 2 Grand Design regional RV rallies.
Oh, nice.
Back in March, I went for a week-long trip to Myrtle Beach. And we had a wonderful time while we're out there. My brother drove down from Pittsburgh like he did last year. And we just had a great time. We have relatives in that area.
Oh, nice.
So after the rally was all over and before we made our long-distance trip back home, we had an opportunity to go ahead and spend the night, and everybody got together. Had a really great time.
Cool.
But no sooner did I get back, I also had reservations for the first time, Daniel, to the Pigeon Forge Rally.
Ooh.
And that was a lot of fun, too.
Cool.
And I had my brother come down for that as well. And we've got another one coming up here in November, the one I've been to down in North Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Come Monday at 10 o'clock. I'm going to hopefully be one of the 120 people that gets a reservation for the North Florida Rally. I really want to go back there again.
Are they still doing that
But
one
of
in
the things
Brunswick?
Yes, they are,
Okay.
and hopefully can get on that. They'll be that'll be up for bid a little bit later on down the road. But one of the things I've learned when I go on these long distance camping trips, Daniel, I've got to be gone for a week.
Okay.
There's none of this show up the day before and leave the day after the rally. No, I want to be there for a whole week.
You gotta get
In fact,
settled.
when I went down to the North Florida Rally back in November, I was one of the first ones there.
Oh, wow.
At least in my section where I set up, there was nobody there. And of course, during the week, more folks started rolling on in. In fact, the neighbor I had with me at the North Florida Rally, I met up with him at Pigeon Forge.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he gets around just like I do.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, we've had a great time. And you're always going to learn something, always something new anytime you go to the rallies. So we've got a lot more of those to look forward to. And hopefully, if I get into the Brunswick Rally, I didn't want to do that last year because it was too close to one of the other camping trips that I had planned. But if we get back to Brunswick next year, maybe we'll get lucky and you can tag along like you did this past time.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
you really fit in right with
Oh,
everybody.
yeah. I'd love to go back.
Yeah. But, I've got a lot of camping trips lined up. The month of July is going to be very, very busy. But, Daniel, I'll tell you, I was hoping, since I have a little downtime right now, to actually get out there and get some yard work done and catch up on some projects here around the house. But, Daniel, what have we been dealing with?
Every day. I think today is
I-
the only day that it's not going to rain until next Saturday. So
Yeah,
I looked at the weather the
my
whole week.
absolute Worst nightmare. Okay, and I've come up with a slogan: it wouldn't be a camping trip without rain.
Yeah.
I just got back from a trip to Lake Hartwell, one of my favorite spots out there, site number 34 by the lake. Daniel, picture perfect. If you want to go camping, especially any of you folks that may be traveling into the Georgia area from South Carolina, consider a trip over to the Springfield Campground. It's run by the Army Corps of Engineers, and I've talked about that quite a bit on the show before. In the event, you happen to reach those senior years, definitely get yourself a senior lifetime access pass and take advantage of 50% off of your camping reservation. Daniel, I camped there a couple times last year. And one of the nice things about the Springfield Campground, Daniel, a lot of sites are lakeside.
Ooh.
There are a lot of great sites right by the lake, and you just look on the map if you have to. Like I say, anywhere like site 33 through 35 is by the lake.
Mm-hmm.
I was lucky enough to get in there for a week, and I just got back no more than about 8 or 10 days ago. But believe it or not, I'm going to be going back there again at the end of July.
Cool.
I do have a trip coming up here in the next couple weeks. In fact, it's 2 weeks from today. I'm going back to the Baldridge Creek Campground on Lake Sidney Lanier.
Ooh, that's not too far
That's
from
the
me.
one- That's the one you were at, and you decided you were going to go ahead and bring your little toy boat.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that, Daniel. Daniel has a toy boat. In fact, he's got all kind of gadgets. Last time I took him up to his family's trailer up there in Talking Rock, and there he goes. Is he going to go get that boat? I think he is.
Oops.
Yeah. Now, folks, while Daniel's doing that, let me explain.
Here's the boat.
If you haven't caught that episode,
Here's
Daniel
the boat.
put that boat in the water. He came up to visit me for the day up at Lake Lanier at Site 45, and he put that boat in the water. And the boat managed to get out there maybe about 50 feet away from shore, and all of a sudden the remote control wasn't working.
I don't know what it
Daniel
was. I
almost
forgot what it was.
Yeah, Daniel almost went swimming in the lake to go ahead and get that boat, but fortunately we had a nice gentleman parked right next to me who was happened to doing some fishing, and he managed to lasso that boat
Yeah.
and reel it on in. I think we've got video with that. You doing that?
Yeah, I want to
Daniel.
get a new one. I want to get a faster one. I want to upgrade like you upgrade your podcasting equipment.
I'll tell you what. If I can come across that video, I'm going to share it in this episode here because it was classic. And that's one of the things you can always look forward to if you happen to ever be camping around Daniel and I. There's always some interesting things, some interesting stories that you'll be able to take home and share with everybody. But like I say, the month of July is going to be very busy. I've got 3 camping trips lined up, and then in the month of August, I'm going to be making a trip back to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Daniel. I'll be staying at the Mountaintop Campground, and I am going up there, believe it or not, for my 50-year class reunion.
All right.
That's it's been a long time since I've been in high school.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good one, from what I understand. We've got a lot of the classmates are going to be there, and I'm looking forward to staying again at Mountaintop. Now, what I'm going to do different this time, Daniel, is I'm going to leave several days ahead of time, and I'm going to stop halfway. When you're hauling that RV and you've got your pet dog with you, like I have Sadie, I'm going to stop about halfway in Whitesville, Virginia. We've stayed there before at the KOA campground.
The bowling alley.
The campground, they got a bowling alley, Daniel. And if we ever want to make a long distance trip with you tagging along in that pop-up camper, we'll have to stay there.
I'd love that.
Yeah, because we're both into bowling.
Oh, I love bowling.
And that one, we'll definitely spend a few bucks there. But we're going to stay there for a couple days, and then I'm going to drive on up to Pittsburgh. Camping out at Mountaintop, I've got a great site up there. And then after the reunion is over, a couple days later, I'll be heading on back. And I'll stop at the Whitesville KOA because it's the halfway point. And, no use driving straight, trying to make time. It's really not worth it. But if you got your retirement years and you've got nothing better to do, why not do that?
Yeah,
why not
definitely.
take the time? So I've already got the reservations in. And like I said, I've got some camping trips booked up in September, too. So I've been quite busy with that. And hopefully a little further down the road, whenever you build up some more time, you can take some time off.
I took a lot of time to move.
I would love to have you and the wife parked next to me.
Yeah.
Again, with your pop-up camper.
Absolutely.
I'll never forget that trip down to Port St. Joe, Florida.
Yeah.
We had a great time. That's actually, I think, the second or third time in all these years we've known each other that we've actually camped side by side.
Yeah. It was nice. It was fun.
Up until now, that we've been doing what we're doing. I mean, we're sitting here talking about camping.
Oh yeah.
We do it right here on the Happy Camper Radio.
So
Show.
it's funny. I went to get a camper top earlier today, and I was going through all these back roads, and I've moved up here, and I'm not really familiar with this area, and I came across the Oconee National Forest. And they have a national wilderness or whatever, and they have this place called Skull Shoals, and evidently it's like ruins from Native Americans that were here a long time ago, and they've got like a lot of paths, and I think they've got a little pond and stuff, and so I was looking it up, and they've got camping nearby and primitive camping nearby, and it was just so cool to just see something I had no idea about, and now I want to go out there and explore because that's what I like to do. So you never know what you're going to find when you go on these back roads to go wherever. It's kind of fun to go the back way. You never know what you're going to see.
Well, there's a lot of folks like yourself and like your wife, that when you go camping, you want to get out, you want to adventure. You want to look and see what's going on locally, and that's fine. I mean, if you're into that and you've got the energy to do it, you've got the time to do it, definitely take advantage of that. Myself, I mean, I'm a sit-by-the-lake guy, drinking my coffee, drinking my soda, or whatever I've got in front of me there, my snacks, whatever I have, and that's what I do, and that is my relaxation, Daniel. And I tell you what, the best move I ever made was buying that RV. I'll never forget the FDR State Park when I lost everything, all my gear. Yeah, but it was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of things to look forward to. I want to do a product review here today, Daniel, and I thought about this the other day. When I bought my Transcend Explorer, I knew that I was going to be camping at a lot of the Army Corps sites. And for folks out there who have an RV, that you're quite used to camping at full site, your full hookup sites, well, if you want to venture off into places, like the ones I'm talking about, like Springfield Campground, Baldridge Creek, there's many, many across the country that are run by the Army Corps of Engineers. They are partial hookup sites, meaning that you're going to have to take your black water and your wastewater and haul them to the dump. Now, in order to do that, if you're going to, without hooking up your RV and driving up there, which can be a real pain, you're going to want to carry one of those Camco Rhino totes behind you. Now, when I bought mine, Daniel, I'm always buy the biggest you can. Go big or go home.
There you go.
I bought the 36-gallon tank, and it's a good thing that I did. Now, for a guy like myself, and I don't have a spouse with me, I don't have anybody with me but Sadie, a good day's wastewater can fill that tank up, and it's 36 gallon.
Wow.
And that's the black water and your gray water. Up until now, what I have been doing, Daniel, is I have actually been filling that tank up and grabbing it by the handle with 2 wheels and wheeling it on over to the ball hitch on my truck.
Okay.
Now, do the math, 36 gallon, you're talking pretty close to 300 pounds.
Okay.
That is a lot of weight. A gallon of water is roughly a little more than 8 pounds.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, if you get up there in your ages like myself, that can be a little bit tiresome. So, and I've been doing that for the past few years. Well, up until now, what I have done is I went and bought the front wheel attachment for that tote.
Okay.
And it comes with 2 sets of wheels that mounts on the front and a tow bar. And I'm going to include some pictures here that you can see what I'm talking about. But that really is a back saver right there.
Huh.
I used that for the very first time a couple weeks ago up there at the Springfield campground, and it makes hauling your wastewater so much easier from your RV to the ball hitch on your truck. I went ahead at the beginning of the camping season, and I went on Amazon. I found the parts that I needed. It comes with the wheel attachment and the tow bar, which connects right onto your ball hitch, and it runs about $80. And it doesn't take much to actually hook that thing up. The only downside I found with this, Daniel, is you've got to take the tow bar off in order to hang it on the ladder on the back of your truck. And of course, you want to strap that tote down real good if you're going to be driving.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got to take that tow bar off, and the attachment, the pin that's attached on there, is a little bit flimsy. I almost lost that tank going up to the dump station because it came loose.
Oof.
Fortunately, I made it up there and got all the wastewater dumped, and I brought the tote on back. And and all my stuff that I carry with me, fortunately, I had a nut and a bolt, and I actually used that in there in its place, and it worked out very well. But overall, I mean, that's the only downside that I found with it. But believe me, it will save your back. It really does, and it really works well. I've been doing a lot of camping at the Army Corps sites. I love them. They're great. The campgrounds are very well kept. The Baldridge Creek campground, which is now actually run by both the Army Corps of Engineers and Forsyth County Parks and Recreation, and they really do a great job of keeping that campground well kept, well mowed, well maintained. And I enjoy going up there anytime I get an opportunity. I've already got 2 camping trips planned this year before they shut down in early October. So, I'm looking forward to going back and venturing out as well as some of these state park campgrounds.
Yeah. Those are nice.
And the neat thing about the Georgia State Park campgrounds, Daniel, is they are open year-round.
They are.
Of course, there's going to come a time because the weather does get kind of nasty here in Georgia right around November. And you're going to have to winterize. And
Hey, just go down south. You could go to the ones down south.
Yeah, you can do that too. But like it says, the North Florida rally that we're going to be going to, and hopefully going to, and getting the reservations in there, that's in early November. So I think last year that was the last camping trip that I had taken. So it's going to work out.
How's everything in the trailer working out? Is everything going good? The refrigerator's good and everything? And
oh, Daniel, I'm always in there, making sure things are working well, and giving it a good going over. If you've got an RV, I don't care if it's a Grand Design or whatever model you have, you've got to get up on that roof about 4 times a year and make sure everything's, spick and span up there. Scrub that roof down with some solution, nothing harsh, nothing abrasive, nothing that's going to penetrate that membrane up there. But I'm really concerned about that, especially with the weather that we've been having, Daniel. You know, when you get that nasty rain coming in there, you want to make sure that you have that roof looking good and make sure nothing is wearing out up there, because the last thing you need is the slightest bit of water to get in there, and next thing you know, you're going to have some damage. And that's something that I definitely don't want to.
You're trying to make a spot in the backyard to put a cover over it now, aren't you?
That was the plan this past week.
Okay.
Because I have a place back there I want to level out, and I want to go ahead and rent a mini excavator so I can go ahead and get that spot leveled out. But Daniel, the rain just keeps coming. It's
crazy.
Like a curse
it's crazy.
that it has on me, you know.
It has not stopped at all.
Yeah. But, you know, I'll tell you, Daniel, it's really great to have you back in the studio. You know, considering the fact that you're living so far away, this is the next best thing.
Yeah,
it really
definitely.
Is, you know. But, you know, I knew we were going to go ahead and get the show back on the road again. You know, we've been doing it for 10 years. I hope we can do it for 10 more.
I think we've done it for more. I think we started in 2013, didn't we? Or was it 2015?
Something like that,
yeah. I don't remember.
Yeah, you were the one that actually helped me haul the professional desk up the stairs.
Oh, yeah.
That was a chore.
Oh, yeah. That was...
My heavens, yeah. that was a heavy one, too.
Oh, yeah.
You know? That's the one I'm sitting at right now. But, you know, it's a great time to go camping. Any time is a great time to go camping. And speaking of camping, Daniel, it's time now for our featured campground of the week, and that's right here on the Happy Camper Radio Show.
Happy Camper Radio. Happy Camper Radio.
You know, Daniel, and since we've been talking about Fort Yargo, let's go ahead and revisit that again, because a lot of our listeners who happen to want to travel into the metro Atlanta area may want to consider
it's the closest
Fort
one to
Yargo
Atlanta.
State Park. Yeah,
It has camping.
Daniel, hey, this campground is nestled in a natural refuge in the city of Winder.
Hey, I know that.
Fort Yargo State Park offers you a nearby escape from metro life with exciting adventures along multiple recreational trails, including one of the only remaining forts for the early settlers.
It's very small.
Between, Atlanta and Athens, this popular park features a 1792 log fort built by settlers for protection against Creek and Cherokee Indians. Today, visitors come to visit Fort Yargo for its wide variety of outdoor recreation and scenery. Overnight guests can choose the fully equipped cottages or cozy campsites. For more unique experiences, visitors can reserve lakeside glamping yurts, which are permanent canvas and wooden tents. Each yurt has furniture and electricity inside with fire rings, picnic table, and grills outside. We're going to have a link to that all week long on Happy Camper Radio. Click on that for more information. If you book a site up there at Fort Yargo, definitely get in touch with Daniel and I, because Daniel, living a stone's throw away,
just let me know and I'll swing by and say hello.
Yeah, it'd be always a pleasure to have Daniel around. Yeah, but he lives so close by Fort Yargo State Park, and I'll tell you what, it's a great campground to visit. We're going to be back up there in about a month doing our show, Fort Yargo State Park. It is our featured campground of the week right here on the Happy Camper Radio Show.
Skip and Daniel
Oh, yeah.
on happycamperradio.com.
And if you have a campground you'd like for us to feature on the program, get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com, or the guy from Winder, Georgia.
Hey, Daniel at happycamperradio.com.
And be sure to include a link to the campground website. And that's going to wrap up today's edition of the Happy Camper Radio Show. Daniel, it's a pleasure to be back on the show. Glad we're here. Glad for our listeners and our viewers who waited patiently for us to get back in the studio. Remember, friends, every pet deserves a loving home. I want you to do exactly as I did. Visit your local shelter and adopt a pet today. We're on the web 24/7 at www.happycamperradio.com. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on X, and definitely check us out on our YouTube channel where you can see this show. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. Daniel's a happy camper. We're going to do our best to make a happy camper out of you. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again real soon. This is Happy Camper Radio.